Most people learn English for years. They learn words, rules, tenses, do exercises, but when they need to say something, they freeze. And the problem is not in people, the problem is in the approach to learning languages. A language cannot be learned just by memorizing words or rules. A language is not a list of words and not a grammar table. A language is a system. It is a structure, and most importantly, it is the rhythm of the language. It is like music. If you just read musical notes, it does not mean that you will be able to play, but if you play the same melody many times, your hands start moving correctly by themselves. The same thing happens with a language. That is why I made a website for learning English that works in a completely different way. We do not learn thousands of words. We do not start with complicated rules. We take the most common verbs, the simplest sentences, and we start to take the same sentence through different tenses and structures. For example, I am at home. I was at home. I will be at home. I am not at home. Are you at home? And when a person sees and reads sentences like this many times, the brain starts to see not separate words, but the structure. And then the person stops translating in their head and starts to feel how the sentence is built. And the most important thing, on this website, you do not need to memorize anything. You do not need to write anything down. You do not need to try to remember everything. The task is very simple. You open the website, you try to say it in English, you listen to how it sounds, you repeat it, and you just move on. And you do this every day, even 10 to 15 minutes. Why does this work? Because the brain learns a language not as information, but as patterns. When you see many times I am, I was, I will be, I am not, are you? You start to remember not the words, but the sentence form. And after some time, you start speaking not because you remembered a rule, but because it sounds right. The most important thing in a language is to enter the flow of the language. Many people think that first you need to learn a lot of words, then grammar, and only then start speaking. In reality, it is the opposite. First, you need to get used to the language, to its rhythm, to the way it builds sentences. And then when you get into an environment or start listening to native speakers, you begin to understand people much faster, even if you do not know all the words. I use this method with my students, and I learned languages myself this way, and I understood one very important thing. A language should not be learned. A language should be passed many times through your eyes, through your ears, and through your mouth. And then it starts to appear by itself. So this website is not about sitting down and learning everything. It is about going through the language a little every day, reading, listening, repeating, and gradually starting to feel the structure of the English language. And after some time, people start to notice that they can already build sentences, even if they do not remember rules and do not know many words, because they already feel how the language works.